Okay, so here we get to have the go home show before we hit SummerSlam. Fairly light on matches, which I wasn't a ridiculously huge fan of. I will of course mention people who were recently let go, but they began with Triple H talking to be the guest referee for the John Cena CM Punk match at SummerSlam. Oh, okay. Doesn't really add a lot to it. I mean, I know that he is the CEO, the COO, and
I am the game.
so I could see him wanting to be involved in that match. And then Cena had a match against Swagger, which he fairly well dominated. Which is sad because Swagger, being a former world champion, who could put on a really solid match, just kind of got dominated by Cena. And of course, Punk had a match later on that night against Del Rio, where he made Del Rio just seem entirely credible that whole time. So you see the two contrasting styles where John Cena pretty much kind of bulldozed Swagger. Swagger had some decent offense, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, you knew Cena was going to go over. When Punk took on Del Rio, there were times you almost thought maybe Del Rio's going to get the victory that he should have had at Money in the Bank. The Miz had a very good altercation with Mysterio. Mysterio, of course, suffered a leg injury over the weekend, so writing him out that way was actually pretty solid. And then he took on Kofi Kingston, who is butting his head on the glass ceiling so ridiculously hard. Kofi's becoming almost like the new Christian. He's right there at that cusp of actually being in a one-on-one main event match and maybe even holding the title. He's just right there. Just the people in the back, I think, just don't see that he has the potential to carry forward just a little bit more and become the champion. So his match against The Miz was actually fairly solid. The match between Beth Phoenix and Eve, when two women wrestlers have great chemistry, they can put on a phenomenal match. Every bit as good as any two men in the ring. When two women don't have a good level of chemistry, you get a match kind of like this, where most of it felt like it was Beth Phoenix like dragging Eve through the match. And of course, it was done. Beth Phoenix talked about how she's tired of the women who can't wrestle being divas, which makes sense. They're called divas, no longer women's wrestling. No, it's no longer women's wrestling. It's divas wrestling. No more booty popping, no more stink faces, no more. And I'll be kind of honest. If they take women's wrestling to actual women's wrestling, it is actually a great way to essentially make money because people will tune in to see actual athletic competitions with women. TNA proved that when their knockouts division was doing well, I would tune in for TNA for the knockouts division. That's it. They did a knockouts only Impact. I watched it. It was good. There is a market for it. I used to go to Shimmer tapings. One of my friends I used to go with, recently had a kid, so we don't go as often. But Shimmer puts out an amazing thing. It's female athletes. It's women wrestling. And then Kelly did a run from behind, and the crowd went entirely vanilla. So I am entirely hoping that at SummerSlam, Beth Phoenix actually wins the title, so they actually can have a legitimate person holding the title, which we haven't had in quite some time. That's why it's a Divas belt, not the women's belt. The Alex Riley-Dolph Ziggler match. To be honest, these two really do seem this should be a match on SummerSlam. It really does. They have some decent back and forth. I wish Alex Riley could figure out how to even out his spray tan. He always seems to have like a dark spot right here. Like he's just not smoothing out, or if he's just not put on enough lotion. He always looks really weird right here. And then he has like his face is a lighter color than the rest of his body. I guess when he was training from the Miz didn't show him exactly how to apply bronzer. And that overall was decent, but it was a DQ. He kept on jaw jacking with Vicky. Vicky got in and got Ziggler disqualified. Okay, nice match for a build-up standpoint, to constantly push the idea of Ziggler dropping Vicky, which I guess they're going to make Vicky have no job, so I guess getting rid of Guerrero's is kind of a thing to do in the E. So that was okay, fairly decent. The R-Truth John Morrison match. You know, a lot of stuff really built into that. It's got like 4 months worth of build up into it. And when they're on the same page, great match. Nice high flying. And then it went to the outside. And then all of a sudden it kind of lost a step all of a sudden. And R-Truth won, and it was okay. It was going along really well, really nice, great pace, you know, nice back and forth, then all of a sudden it just kind of just fell apart. It was almost kind of like having a really good taco, and then towards the end, like the shell just broke apart and all the energy just went everywhere. So of course now we're getting down to the main event, which was a contract signing. I hate contract signings. And I'm glad that CM Punk began by more or less saying, everyone hates these things, we're just going to go nose to nose. Why waste your time doing it? And then you brought in something from Facebook that was by Dwayne Johnson, who more or less ran down John Cena like only Dwayne can do. And it was done, you know, really, really well. It was a nice way to kind of keep that idea of, you know, the Rock and John Cena facing each other at WrestleMania next year. It was a really good opportunity to use that. And then Cena kind of went back, you know, and kind of attacked Punk as well as The Rock. You know, it's The Rock talked about how John Cena's a phony and how he's a fake. And then John, really strong, went through this whole impassioned speech about how the people who says he sucks, he doesn't care about. He cares about the people who are with him from day one. Those are who he cares about. Everyone else he doesn't care about at all. And it kind of got me thinking, you know, I remember when he was Mr. Ruthless and Ruthless Aggression and he took on Kurt Angle in his first match. I knew about his history as being the prototype. And I actually liked when he first came out and he was a Doctor of Thugonomics and he wore the chains and the throwback jerseys. I actually kind of rooted for him. I actually liked when he first took the US title made of a spinner belt. I actually owned his CD. Yes, I actually did buy John Cena's CD when it came out. I thought it was great when he beat JBL and he had the title. At first I even kind of liked the spinner belt. I thought it would be great for a gimmick, great for a short period of time. So then I guess people who met John since the beginning, when ironically he was more of a heel, would be people like me. But then what happened? Why was all of a sudden that John isn't for people like me? Why did John drop me as a fan and instead go for kids? I guess at the time I wasn't buying John's t-shirts. I guess I wasn't feeding the beast that would soon become John Cena. So I guess in a lot of ways, we use this hustle, loyalty, respect mantra, and he talks about all these people who have followed him and been with him since day one. Ironically, some of those people would actually be people like myself. So I guess the people who boo him to no end are the people that he turned his back on. So I guess, even though he called CM Punk a hypocrite, because Punk is in this for himself, when John says that he did this for his true fans, for his devoted fans, people who were with him for day one, it wasn't the little kids, John. It was people like me. It was the actual wrestling fans who saw the future in you. They saw somebody who actually could put on a solid match. Your first match against Kurt Angle was a decent match. It was a great match for an opening match, for first match in your big career in the E. And it was you and Bull Buchanan. And you cut your little freestyle promo raps. And you fought against people like Brock Lesnar, JBL, Orlando Jordan, The Undertaker. You fought against these people. Ironically, you had a lot more base when people were cheering for you. So you turned your back on me. That's why we hate you, John. The internet community saw something in you that we wanted to see more of. And then you became, like I said, you became Hogan. You became Hogan. I was reading, said you went from putting the hand here to putting the hand here. And you did. You entirely sold out. And you sold out for, you sold out for more money. You did. You sold out your older fans for younger fans, because younger fans will force the older fans to buy things for them. I'm not going to buy an inflatable John Cena hands. A buddy of mine got them. I'm using them for jokes. And, I, we also know that you can wrestle a match. We've seen you do it with Shawn Michaels. We saw you had an hour-long match after WrestleMania with Shawn Michaels. It was a beautiful match, fantastic back and forth. We know you have the ability to do this, and instead you did the 5 moves of doom. You don't want to push yourself anymore. I guess it's probably because with all your commitments, you don't want to actually injure yourself in a match. You don't want to put enough out there. And I'll be honest, when John gets injured, I do feel bad. It is his livelihood. But at the same time, part of me just cannot stand this guy. Period. You know. And that's just essentially the way that it is. The reason why so many people have gravitated more towards CM Punk is when you go back through CM Punk's career, he's been a wrestler, and just a wrestler. Has he kicked out albums? Nope. Has he been in movies? Nope. Is he Fred's dad from Fred the Movie? Nope. Is he gonna be in Fred the Movie too? Nope. Was he in 12 Rounds, The Marine? Nope. None of those things. He's a wrestler. Does he look super pretty? Is he really, the peak physical condition that you'd expect a wrestler to be in? No. He's a regular everyday guy who's living his dream. And John, at the end of the day, you're a regular everyday guy who's living your dream. How come we don't like you? We don't like you because you turned your back on us. You forsake us first, John. And the way the E portrays you. Even they did the Money in the Bank a review thing that they did. And they talked about, like the courage and your conviction, almost like you're the savior of the WWE, and how it was a battle for the soul of the company between you and Punk. They described you as magical. Maybe the older fans can't get behind John Cena. I ride a unicorn to the ring, check me out, I'm magical, no one defeats me. Regardless of the match, regardless of the outcome, regardless if it's 6-on-1, 9-on-1. He beat all of Nexus by himself. He's defeated how many tag champs by himself? He defeats everybody. There's no drama. A match with John Cena, you're guaranteed 99% John Cena's going to win. Regardless of who he's going up against, regardless of when the match is. John Cena wins matches. He loses at Raw. He'll lose at a house show. But he doesn't lose at a pay-per-view. He rarely ever loses, regardless of how big the match is. Whether it's a falls count anywhere against Great Khali, he defeats Great Khali. He defeats The Big Show. He defeats Mark Henry. Regardless of how impressive they make somebody seem, sooner or later they tap out to John Cena, or John Cena pins them. People like this match because you know what? CM Punk was able to defeat you in his hometown. And I'll be honest, this match at SummerSlam is entirely about CM Punk. If John Cena wins this, then you know what? CM Punk becomes an afterthought, and people are probably going to go, well, I thought the status quo was going to change. I guess it's not. It's back to Cena this, Cena that. But then it's, well, H is involved. H could screw either one of those two guys, and then that's how you build your next feud. Or do you have Punk go over clean? If you have Punk go over clean, now all of a sudden Cena can't defeat Punk. Until all of a sudden he does. And then it goes back to the way it's always been. At SummerSlam, this match is entirely about CM Punk. If CM Punk wins, the landscape changes. If CM Punk loses, Cena goes back to being the top dog, and everything that happened from the Money in the Bank on till now will have been an awesome month that at the end of the day ends up being pointless.